So next what we need is a date field that's rendered in a very particular way so that it shows the date in a certain format. And we need to hide the field, position it above this username so we can use it as a substitution, and then edit our username field rewrite to include the date field. Okay, let's begin by adding the field. So I'll click Add next to Fields, and let's search for Date. So what we're looking for is this one right here, Content Post Date, the date the content was posted. So I'll check that and click Apply All Displays. Now because this is going to be a hidden field, we can set the label to hidden so we know by looking at the View Edit page that this is a field that doesn't display on its own. And now we have the date format. And if we check here, we have a set of options that we can choose from to display this date. Now none of these quite match up with what we're looking for. This long format is close, but we don't want the Thursday part. We just want the February 14th, 2013 part. So for this particular situation, we're going to select a custom date format. So here things get a little bit interesting with the date. We can actually specify the individual parts that we want for this format. And we can click this PHP manual link in order to open up a new page that includes the tokens that we can use in this format. This might look a little bit confusing at first, but let me describe a couple of these items and it will become clear. So here in this column is the character that we use to represent the token. So if we put D in the format, what we're going to get is the day of the month, 2 digits with leading zeros. So here are some examples. For the first day of the month, it would be 01. For the last day, it could be 31. We could instead represent the day using a capital D, which is mun or sun, for example. So what we want first is a representation of the month, which is the full month title. So I'm going to scroll down here, and you see our month options in this sub collection here. So we can choose the first one, which is what we want, which is the F, but look at our other options here. Reading through this page is a good way to know exactly what you have available to you when you create new date formats. So I'm going to copy this F, and I'll jump back over to our view page, and I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to add a space, and now we need the day. So I'm going to jump back over to the date and scroll up to day, which is right here. And now this first one is close, but we don't want the leading zero. That's a little awkward when we're looking at natural date representations. So we're going to choose this one here, which is 1 to 31, and that's a lowercase j. So I'll copy that and go back over to the blog content and paste it in. And now the last part we want is the year. So I'm going to add a comma and a space, and then let's go back over to the date page and look at year. So we have day, week, month. If we scroll down, here's year. And I'm going to just browse the examples here until I see something that I'm looking for. Now this one looks right and this one looks right. And when I read the description here, this one seems nice and clear. This other one has some additional explanations that seem a little beyond what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to use this capital Y. I'm going to copy it and then paste it over in the date format. So this should give us exactly what we want. Now one thing that would be good to note here is that this is some configuration that if we use the proper modules, we could reuse. If you install the date module, you can create custom date formats that you can select from this date format dropdown. We could also probably use the custom formatters module in order to create a formatter for any date fields. For now though, this is pretty straightforward. We'll do it here without having to think about reusing it later on. So one last setting that we need is to exclude this from display. Again, this is going to be a field that we include in another field, and we don't want to display on its own. Then we'll click Apply All Displays.